Hello and welcome to Placing People First, a next phase podcast celebrating innovations in life sciences. And I'm really pleased today to be joined by Sean Kennedy, who's a senior talent acquisition specialist at BenchSci. Hi, Sean. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. I'm really excited to have this podcast. Of course, from our perspective as specialist recruiters, we work in partnership with TA teams quite often. And a lot of people may not necessarily know quite how the setup works, but a TA function is a dedicated internal recruitment resource who specializes in bringing people in who are a great cultural fit, great technical fit. So it'd be really, really exciting to hear your perspective.
Yeah.
So today's discussion will explore how important it is to attract and retain highly motivated staff and develop collaborative teams, especially when they're not physically present together in the same place. So, Sean, I guess a good recruiter could transfer the skills into any kind of industry sector. So what was it that drew you to BenchSci in particular?
No For me, it was mission. BenchSci has a mission to reduce the time it takes for medicine to reach patients faster by 50%, and we're aiming to do that by 2025. A lot of people who work here are drawn to this mission personally. Like for myself, I'll give you an example, and you'll see a lot of examples like this if you speak to people at BenchSci. So the work we're doing is to enable a better standard of life, across the world. And sure. When I was younger, about 14, my grandfather, who was like a dad to me, sadly died of lung cancer. And horrible thing to see someone go through. As like many people have had family members that have gone through that kind of stuff, and it's dreadful to watch them, go through it. Sorry, and sure. Towards the end, like lung cancer, it's non-recoverable. You know that it's going to be something that someone's going to die of. But this point, we knew he was going to die at one point, basically, and his life could have been prolonged or maybe made a bit better by medicines that we potentially have today. And for me, I wanted to use my skill set to help and do that by finding people that want to work here. And the people that I can find can potentially then come in, better our product, and potentially help a future younger Sean, like, have more time with their granddad. Or because I know that for me, I'm this clog in a big machine, right? So I know my function and I know what that produces. I know that I bring people in, help them through their process of coming into BenchSci, and they go on to do this brilliant work, which, it's so humbling to see the work that some of the people here do, like literal scientists. As a recruiter, our job can be a bit difficult at times, but I don't have PhD at the end of my name. So it's very, very humbling to work with these people and see the work that they're doing. And if I can bring some more people in like that, I'm all for it. So the mission for me, especially, was something that really drew me to BenchSci. I remember seeing the job spec and thinking, wow, this is awesome. Would love to even try and engage in a conversation. And I sent my CV, got a really warm email back from my director, Anthony Azar. Brilliant guy, really warm. The first line was, "We'd love to meet you." And I was like, oh wow. That's very nice. That's awesome. That's really nice kind of first kind of way into it. Because the time I was looking for a new role, I didn't know which direction I wanted to go in. I was contracting before. I thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to stay contracting, asking where the coffee machine is every 3 months, or am I going to go somewhere and make a bit of difference? Am I going to impact something? And the role here was, Sean, we want you to come in, help grow the UK. All of our folks here in the UK. It's like, cool, brilliant. I know the UK market pretty well. All the stuff we're hiring for is data and development at the moment, in the UK, but we're looking at obviously expanding on that within life sciences. Sure. I was telling you earlier about potentially hiring scientific liaisons over here as well. So I was really excited by it. It was for me, it was exciting, hit home, and just seemed like something I could really get behind, like I could really lean into. So I was all for it the moment I saw BenchSci advertised.
That's a fantastic introduction. As you say, from the very first message you had back, we'd love to meet you. And now it's you have that responsibility to give people that first impression as well,
Yeah.
and to know that these incredibly talented scientists could come and join a business that has so much potential. I mean, as a brief introduction, I mean, what do BenchSci do as a business?
So BenchSci, as mentioned, we're aimed at reducing the time it takes for medicine to get to patients. The way we do that is we have an AI that we input information to that scours the world for documentation, research papers, all kind of open source stuff, to allow researchers to enhance the work they do at a quicker speed. So our sweet spot is the research phase before clinical trials, because I don't know if you're aware, 9 out of 10 clinical trials fail per year. And my understanding is, and I'm probably going to get shot if I, give the wrong answer here, but my understanding is that they fail for 3 reasons: funding, time, and data. Now, what can we affect? We can't affect funding because we're not investors, but we can hit 2 birds with 1 stone: data and time. Now, providing more data to people allows them to reduce that time, and allows them to do things quicker. We're already doing that. We're already reducing time it takes. If you look at some of the blogs and some of our, our website and our LinkedIn, you can see some of the statistics on there now of how we're already having real life implications of what we're doing, which is awesome. And so you can see the clock ticking down to 2025. You can see it working. And there's a lot of people that go, where are you going to be? How do you see it working? There, we can already see that we're reducing time it takes from information to get to point A to point B, which again is I sound very excited because I legitimately am. It's awesome. It's a really cool thing to kind of see progress and kind of nurture across the time I've been here.
That's so exciting. That really, really is. And I mean, it sounds like you've already made a significant impact. And you mentioned to me when we spoke before that you've already filled the positions that were open in 2022. So now coming into 2023, and there's a whole raft of new requirements that you're looking to fill. There's going to be a lot of exciting upcoming recruitment and some really interesting new positions to attract people. So I'd be interested to explore, because of course you're an experienced recruiter, an experienced talent acquisition professional. So how would you say that the approach to TA has needed to evolve over the last few years? It's a hugely competitive market. So how has it evolved and developed in order to attract the right talent?
Yeah, I think we've evolved and we've changed so much because of COVID and the way people were working then. And it kind of, a light bulb moment went off with people the moment people started having to work from home, and they realised we're still having the exact same impact, or if not better, because we've got a better standard of life. So we've evolved from jobs that pay the most to jobs that offer more in the way of flexibility. So more work home life balance is a huge part of the hiring process. It's gone from why should we hire you to why should I work for you? And there's a lot more kind of need for that flexibility. And I think that's a huge part of the process now, is that you need to be able to offer people a better life, and not just a better job. Learn that people aren't just candidates; they're humans that have a life outside of work, and that needs to be catered to when you're trying to attract the right talent. In my opinion, it's something that's going to continually grow this year and for the future. One of the I briefly, we know we're going to talk about this a bit later on, but the survey we did recently for people looking for a new role, the top thing people are looking for is flexibility. It's not salary, it's not a location. It's flexibility in what they have in their role, and surprised me a little bit in all total transparency, because mine is a bit different. Like me personally, I'm a big believer of the mission. I can get behind something if I truly believe in it. But that's what surveys for, right? We're not all going to have the same answer, and it's going off the number of people we asked. And we asked people from all age groups, all levels of seniority, from junior down to board level, all ethnicities, all genders, and that was the number one by a good country mile as well.
Really, that's really really interesting. I know, particularly if you spend a fair amount of time on LinkedIn, I know you're very over in putting things out there
Mm.
to get yourself and the BenchSci brand out there, which I think is fantastic. There's a lot of things, a lot of discussion that goes on around flexibility. Of course, people coming back from COVID, there was this sort of, what's an appropriate balance of a hybrid working model. But yeah, that's really interesting, as you say. I think I'm with you on the. If you're really behind the mission, then you're more willing to do what it takes to be really successful in your role. But
Yeah.
interesting that across all of that broad survey, flexibility was significantly higher as a main driver. So with that in mind, how can you respond to that as a conscientious employer at BenchSci? What would your response be to that, given that seems to be what a lot of people want?
Well, I think the old school mentality used to be. I've experienced this myself, so I can't speak for everyone. This is just like kind of my opinion. Old school
Sure.
mentality used to be that trust had to be earned with people. So you needed to be
Mm,
in the office. You needed to be there so people could literally see you, see what you're doing, even though they wouldn't be coming to check your work. They just needed to see that your bum was on a seat and see the work that you were doing.
yeah.
Now, I think we've very much gone into the thing that you have the trust and it's there for you to lose it, like from the get go.
Mm,
So I
okay.
think
Yeah.
that's where I think it's kind of changed a little bit. Um, does that does that make sense?
It does make sense, I guess, from our perspective, because I know within a lot of the roles that presumably you're recruiting, quite technical positions, that you're going
Yeah,
to be recruiting people who have already, to an extent, proven themselves because they've gained a
absolutely.
certain amount of experience or they've gained a certain level of education. I guess if somebody's coming in at a more junior end, or maybe a fresh graduate, or someone coming in without a degree, then maybe they might need to have that more face-to-face contact. But then maybe again that's perhaps a bit more of an old school approach. And actually, if we give people that opportunity, say, right, we trust you, and
Mm,
as you say, that it almost your trust is there to lose rather than your trust is there to gain, and maybe
yeah.
that's a more positive approach
And
to
you
it.
can communicate with people just as easily as you can on virtually as you can in the office.
Mm,
You can get bogged down by stuff in the office and not have time to speak to people. But if you can be at home, select a time that works for someone else to jump on a Zoom call, have a list of the things you need to do during the week, and plan stuff out and be organized. There's a perfectly reasonable way to do it, and I think that's
yeah.
working from home is going to be the new model. We offer both. Like with us, we're a remote first company.
Hmm.
However, we've got offices in Vancouver, Toronto. We've just recently, towards the end of the month in January, we're going to have our brand new office in Cambridge.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, which is very much looking forward to that. Although I'm quite far from Cambridge, so it might just be a guest appearance, a cameo for me every now and then in the Cambridge office. But that's the thing. There's no pressure like to be in the office or to be have a bum on a seat or anything like that, which makes it nice. It actually
Mm.
makes you want to kind of pop in every now and then and be like, no, I'll come see you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it actually creates that feeling of, I want to be part of this. And
Mm,
I suppose if you've got the leadership in the business
yeah,
and they're all completely bought into that way, and that's what they want to promote, and then you're putting that out there to when people first apply or when you first approach people, then it's consistent throughout. They know exactly what they're coming into. So, with that in mind, though, how can you build a strong sense of community within a growing team when people don't work together in person?
yeah. So it's a great question, and to be honest with you, it's a question I get asked a lot. Like,
Okay.
how do you by people I interview all the time is how do you collaborate with people in Canada, UK, some in the US? We've even got a few people in Brazil. Um, yeah, it's brilliant. And how do you communicate with people in different time zones and different setups?
Mm,
Um, but firstly, you've got to appreciate that everyone works in different ways. What works well for some doesn't always work well for all. So we work in different time zones here. So we need to ensure that we're all transparent as possible with one another as how we work, and then we can create this kind of community that supports everyone's needs. Um,
okay.
I'll give you like kind of example. Like our team, we catch up twice a week do a team huddle, to talk about what we're working on, what's going well. But it's not only to just talk about work. We spend time, asking each other how we are, like as people. We're human, right? We need to make sure that we're having these genuine conversations and catching up. Because one thing I will say is, I work by myself at home, but I do not feel alone, which is a great way of working. Now, we also do a lot of other things internally to help kind of support community. So we use Donut. I don't know if you know what Donut is.
No, what's Donut?
Donut's really cool. So Donut is a thing that's integrated into Slack.
Okay.
So it'll pop up. You can generate a 15-minute conversation with anyone across the business. So in the 400 people plus we have here at BenchSci, you can pop up on a random conversation from CEO down to someone day one, week one, and just have a 15-minute catch up with them. Try to meet new people, try to talk to people from different parts of the business, and yeah, it's a really nice way to do it, especially as a new starter. Being able to talk to different people across the business, kind of get your name out there and understand how things work from some more senior figures, or you could just other people within the business. It's great. We also do.
I like the sound of that.
It is good, especially for a remote aspect. I recommend Donut. It's a great way of just kind of just popping up, and you don't have to jump on these calls. Don't get me wrong. I'm a realist. Some people can be very busy. You can just say, "Look, I'm busy. I can't do this Donut." But if you've got the time, it's worth jumping on, because you do find out some great stuff. And so, one thing about community and this culture here, and whenever someone asks me about culture or community, I really struggle to answer the question, and I shouldn't, because I'm TA. I should know that off by heart. But the only reason I struggle to answer it is because there are so many different people here. There's not one culture. There's about 100 or more mixed into this beautiful thing. And I'm like, Sean, can you explain the community here, the culture here at BenchSci? How much time have you got? But then I have to give it that kind of, I have to give it that kind of broad answer. There's so many wonderful people here from so many wonderful different backgrounds. So one thing we do is we engage with all these different groups as well. Like, we've got Movie Club, BenchSci Plus, which is a fantastic organisation we run inside the business. It's a safe space for women to talk. And it's a brilliant initiative run by some of my colleagues, Rhonda and Cassandra, internally. And we've got Movie Club. We talk about football. We've got the Chatter UK. We've got Body Break. So for fitness, if you're into that kind of stuff. And there's all different groups for people to kind of connect to and talk about online. Now, the cool part is, once a quarter, we sometimes have these offsites, which is all of us will get together, no matter where you are in the world, and go to one location. My team is going to Vancouver. End of next month, for an offsite.
Great.
Yeah, brilliant. We're all going to get together. We all see each other on a day-to-day basis, but it's weird when it's face-to-face. Like, the first time we all met, we were just trying to figure out how tall people were.
Exactly.
How tall they were from a Zoom call. But yeah, we do an offsite. We do this really cool thing called Bench Break. So Bench Break is a tools down kind of company retreat kind of thing, where we all get together to disconnect from work, but connect with one another, which is really cool. So we did it last year. We went to Toronto. There are got to be about 300 plus of us there at that point then, and we were doing the first day there. We all did this scavenger hunt around Toronto. We went axe throwing, did this ninja warrior thing, cooking classes, went on this cruise, just spent time going for some nice food. Great. We still talk about it now. We still connect with people we met from Bench Break. Brilliant. And it's a great way of building a sense of community within not just your own teams. I think people can get bogged down by just spending time within their own team virtually. So doing that allows you to speak to people across different teams. Now, I've got friends within different teams now, the bioinformatics team, the science team, the sales team, all sorts of different teams. The product team, the design team, it's brilliant, and it's a nice way that you can build that community. A bit of a long, elongated answer for you there, but there are so many different tools, and I'm probably missing some as well, in all honesty.
Well, it's I mean, clearly there's so much that has been thought of to I guess cover all bases, because not everyone is going to engage with one single thing. But if you have all these different options, different things people can get involved with, I think that's really good. Because a lot of the companies that we recruit for are maybe not quite at the size. So BenchSci is about 400, you say, globally at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the challenges that I know certain companies have, I guess every company has, is you get to a certain level and then you have to maybe reimagine things or bring in new things to get to the next level. I guess going from 20 to 50 people that's a big shift. To go from 50 to 100, to go from 100 to 300. So you mentioned when you first came in, so it was about 300 or so at the time. It's now the best part of 400. So, I mean, how has that, those different initiatives you described, how have they maybe changed or evolved as the company has increased by a further third?
Yeah, good question. I've not noticed them change too differently. I think, maybe there'll be less of the sorry, I completely got out of my head then. Maybe less frequent offsites, because the more you grow, it becomes like a real big cost. We're all about spending money for our people, but trying to get 400 people all from all over the world to one location, it's going to become a bit pricey.
Yeah, that's a challenge, isn't it? Yeah.
But community, I haven't seen it change that much since it's gone over. People are still doing those fundamentals. People are still talking about doing donuts. People are still involved with different groups. I haven't noticed it too yet. Maybe in the next 100 we'll start to see some more changes from there. But we'll see what happens in the future, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose it's an ongoing evolution, isn't it? But also, how great that shows that the company stays true to its vision. If those things don't change too much, so there's more of a gradual evolution. You don't suddenly say, right now we're scrapping this or we're bringing this in. It's more like, this is who we want to be. This is what BenchSci is, and so if anything, it just reinforces those values more and more. Which is the importance of having that clear vision, I suppose, from the top down, so that you can shout from the rooftops about coming to join the business.
Yeah, and values are extremely important to us here. Like, as a Brit, you hear people talking about values all the time in different companies, and you're like, all right, mate.
Of course.
And I was so like before, like when I'd hear people talk about values, I would just find them so disingenuous, and I'd be like, you've just done that for like some PR kind of talk. And I did used to think like that. That's because I was working with people I didn't believe in the product. I didn't believe in what they were doing. I didn't believe that they were genuine about their values. But I started working here, and our values incorporate every decision we make. Like, in terms of, our values are FAST. Not fast as we do things quickly, but FAST is an acronym for focused, advancement, speed, tenacity, and transparency. And there's a lot in there. When we interview people, like, we ask questions around that, like our advancement, for example. We're in a business, and we're in an environment that continually grows and is ever changing. So one of the questions I'll ask is, how do you stay up to date with the latest in your field? How are you showing that advancement? Are you showing the values that we work with? Because we hire people, not just a skill set. Because you can have 10 people in a room with the same skill, but if one person has our values, we're hiring that one person, not the 10. Because we want to bring the right people in. And when we talk about community, part of building a good community is ensuring that we have a responsibility as people in TA to help grow community. Because if the community is already great and you bring the wrong people in, that's going to start to deteriorate. But if you bring the right people in, you can help it to flourish, and you can help it to go from strength to strength. So it becomes like using those values and using our values becomes like a key component in trying to hire people and trying to grow here in the UK.
Yeah, it's really exciting to hear that, and I think it's so refreshing as well to hear just how much thought has gone into that, because especially for a business where, as yet, BenchSci may not be a household name, but what you've got is something that's truly groundbreaking and exciting, and so to bring people in and get them really really excited about the brand from day one, and for it actually to be genuine, I think
Mm.
that's so powerful.
Yeah, and like as you say, like household name, I think we're going to be a real powerhouse. Like at the moment, we're already working with 17 of the top 20 pharma companies.
Mm.
We're already embedded with people. We're already helping people to do what we want. To evolve our mission, which is great. So if we're not like the household name now, I could put money on this. We're gonna be, and there's a big future ahead for BenchSci and the people that work here for sure.
Yeah, good. Well, I wish you every success with that ongoing
Thank
mission.
you.
It sounds really, really exciting, and thank you so much for your time today, Sean, to share your
No worries.
insights and just give a bit more of an understanding of the TA process and how to really attract the best people into an innovative life science business in the current world.
My
So,
pleasure.
thank you for your time and all the best.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Steve.